All right, everybody. In this one, what we have is a 2015 Toyota Corolla. DDC that we are worried about is P2420, which indicates an evaporative emission system switching valve stuck in off position. All right. So basically, what this is saying is that it is not able to control the vent valve. That's all that's saying. All right. I already have this car diagnosed. I diagnosed it about a week and a half ago when I got sick. I didn't make a video because I really wasn't feeling well. So I'm just going to go over the process I did in order to determine if we have a wiring issue or a valve issue. All right. And on top of it, I have the new valve here. Well, not new, a used valve. All right, because it's like $600 or $700. Because this guy actually only comes with the canister assembly, and the cheaper way to go is just call a scrapyard, get a whole canister assembly from them, take the valve off, and replace it. So, very quickly, what we're gonna do right now is just show you guys the process that I did. I always like to go and make sure that my valve is actually working. If I'm able to control the valve and all my powers and grounds are at the valve and the valve is not working, typically we are going to have a valve issue at that point. All right. So what we're going to do is just come into active test. We're going to select all data. From there, I selected the vent valve. Okay, and right now we can see activate vacuum switching valve. So basically why they call it a vacuum switching valve is because as the vent valve closes, it creates a vacuum into the system when the purge valve opens. So I kind of understand where they were going with the naming of this. Okay, from there, what we have to do is just click the on off. I don't care about the data really because the car is not running. All right, I probably could make the car run and have them and see a vacuum change onto my fuel tank pressure sensor, but I really don't think that we need to. Okay, now from there, what we have to do is that we come up to the wiring diagram real quick. I'll slide over. The one that we are going to be worried about on this one, Toyota calls it, it has a weird name for it. I already have it highlighted for everybody. They call it a canister pump module. Why do they call it a canister pump module? Because there's actually a leak detection pump into it. There's a canister pressure sensor, and we have our vent valve. So there's quite a few things going on inside of this little guy right here. All right, so we don't just have a on-off pin for the valve itself. We actually have like 8 pins in there. Okay, 8? Yeah, we have 8. All right. So from there, the ones that we have to be worried about is going to be this black wire and this white wire. All right, that black wire is going to be my 12-volt feed. I'll give you guys a view of that. All right, 12-volt feed onto the black, EFI fuse 1. So if we come back into the back and we test this and there's no power, well, we're going to check for a power. And after that, we have this white wire right here, which is our vacuum pump. All right, which is going to be the control from the PCM. So I already have everything hooked up in the back. I got the scan tool. So what we're going to do real quick is just come in the back. And I'll bring over the chair. I want to try to get this done quick for everybody. All right. So as we can see right now, I am hooked onto the white wire. The white wire is my control. Okay, so all I'm going to do is press on, and we're going to watch the power probe. And you can see that it switched to 0 volts. I press it off, it switches to 12, well 11.6. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to switch this guy around onto my black wire, and we're going to verify and make sure that we have 12 volts. So give me a second. All right, so I have it hooked up to the power. As we can see, we have power. When we switch it on, we see a small change in our voltage, which means that there is current flowing through it, but not enough, but we still don't hear anything happening onto the valve. All right, so now what I'm going to do is take and remove this connector, plug up the other valve, and we're going to listen to see if we hear any clicks. Because if you can tell, we don't have a click going on. All right, so let's get to it. So before all that, what I'm going to do is actually just switch out the valve because I know that the valve is no good. So there's to get this guy out, we have to remove this hose right here, which is just by like pinching onto this area. Okay, we pinch on that, we pull this guy off, we remove the connector. There's going to be a little tab here and a little tab all the way up inside. You might not be able to see it, but anyway, there's another little tab up here. All right, and you have to push that guy up, this guy down, and just pull him out. I'll show you guys on the other canister. All right, so I'm going to take him out and I will bring you guys back. All right, give you guys a view of that little clip. So the other one's just right here. All right, and then we have this one, pull out the old valve. And we're going to just take and clip the new one in. So the new one comes up like so. Okay. Oh, don't want to drop them. I do this with one hand for everybody. All right, let's get him in. There we go. All right, we heard everything clip. We are good. New hose. Well, not new hose, but put on the hose. All right, make sure everything clips. Connector, and we are done with that. Now let's listen. It's very, very faint, guys. I hope you guys can hear that. It's so faint. But yeah, so from there, that's all there is to diagnosing this code for this particular issue. That's not to say that you can't have other issues with this valve, but if you're dealing with just a valve being stuck off and not working, this is how I would suggest that you go diagnosing it. If there was no power or ground at the PCM, not at the PCM, at the valve, we would be looking for a wiring issue or maybe even a PCM issue at that point, all right? So what I mean by that is that if we come back over, so if there was no power, automatically, just by following the wiring diagram, we have a constant power, so there should always be a constant power. If there is not a constant power, we would deal with a power issue, and we would also have to check and verify and make sure that we had our control from the PCM. If power is there and ground is not there, look for a broken wire, and vice versa. If ground is there and power is not there, look for a broken wire, maybe even a PCM issue. If power and ground are there and this guy is not turning on, you're dealing more than likely with a valve. You can always remove this valve, bench test it, make sure that everything is good, because just because you have power and ground doesn't mean you could have good current flow, which means you could have some corrosion in the wiring that is making it so that this valve does not work. So you got to be aware of everything when you're doing these type of tests. All right. I took mine off and I actually physically tested it a week and a half ago, and I was not able to control it whatsoever. So right off the so that led me to be 100% certain that my valve was the issue. So, and yes, just in case anybody's wondering, every time I pierce a wire, I always take and put some Permatex electrical tape, liquid electric tape onto where I pierce, so that there's no corrosion or anything that happens to those wires. All right. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, I will see you guys next time.